Good morning, welcome back to another episode of our Subaru powered Escort build. It was a long one yesterday. We pretty much stripped the entire car, or for the most part without using ramp. So things like panels, interior, we even chopped the roof, so quite a lot of the car is actually missing. But yeah, that was a long day. To finish it off, we decided to chuck the Subaru on the lift, just so we can actually get access to things that we didn't have access to before. And now it's time to crack on. So today, I think the plan is to start taking things off that we couldn't really access before, so things like fuel tank, exhaust and things like that, I think. So it should be quite fun, just taking more things off the car. It sounds strange, but it's quite different dismantling a car as opposed to fixing it. You're not quite as worried about losing a bolt or snapping anything because, I mean, we chopped the roof off, so oh well. Now, surprisingly, it's actually not too bad underneath. There's a few areas of concern, but nothing really to worry about, nothing that, you know, Steve can't really fix. So let's just have a quick little look at these ones. I found this one quite interesting because he's sort of gone for one of those adjustable drop links, and then he has it in this setting permanently. So we need a new drop link, probably go all round I think for those. Another thing that we found interesting, the previous owner's been using royal purple filters. So you'd like to think this car's been very well looked after, engine wise, or at least maintenance wise. So that should put us in good standing for when we need to chuck this, in that we don't really have to worry about potentially rebuilding the engine and things like that. So seeing things like that, usually a good sign, but I guess we'll see. So I think yesterday I did actually show you the other side of the car. And this side, yeah, it's also suffering from the usual rot and rust on that area. A few more things I find quite funny. That's definitely not a factory exhaust mount, I can guarantee on that one. These are quite interesting. See, I've never seen these on a car, but I've never actually been underneath a Subaru, so just a little bit different, the sort of C-shaped links. There's a couple of other little fun things. I think this bracket was originally meant to fit somewhere, but perhaps might have needed to be bodged, which, you know, we like a bit of bodge here and there. It gets things done. Just a little bit of rust. But apart from that, we're fairly confident that this is all we need to start shifting things over. Yeah.
That's straight up there. Alright, that's the exhaust off. So what we'll probably do is we'll probably make a new exhaust, because the one that was on it was 3 inch down to 2.5, so we'll probably go 3 inch all the way through. What we're trying to do is get the fuel tank out of it so we can start cutting it. So we'll take all the bracing off for the diff, get the diff out of the way, and then we'll start pulling the tank out. So all this kind of stuff, as we're taking it off, it'll be sent away, or we'll blast it in our own blast cabinet, and then it'll go for powder coating. So it should come back looking like new.
Sweet catch. That was fast.
Yeah,
that was fast.
Surprised that came out. Alright, we've got the prop shaft disconnected, exhaust obviously off, diff carrier's starting to come out now. It does look pretty rusty, but we'll give it a clean up. The powder coat, it'll look like new. I'll start maybe pulling the shafts out, rear shafts out the diff, and then try and get the whole diff unit out as one. I need to leave the rear subframe in because I want to keep the rear wheels in the right position for when I come to measure everything up for when it goes into the Escort. So that's pretty important that we don't actually take the subframe out. This is purely taking the diff out so we can get the fuel tank out, make sure everything's safe when we start cutting. You're not getting the most important part of the day yet?
You're brilliant. I think you're on camera there. Yeah. Should we give you a little statement there? And always remember, safety gear, tea.
Milk, 2 sugars.
Leave
it like that. There.
Like the spatchcock chicken.
Yeah. Let them down in the bed, let it. Just be careful with the diff.
You got book I've got me here.
So you didn't need a transmission jack, you've got a Jason.
I've got one, yeah.
Right, rear diff's off, on the floor. Again, it's all looking a bit scabby. Not too worried about that, we'll get it all blasted, powder coated. It'll look fine when it goes back together. We can now get to the tank. Usual saddle tank, nothing too fancy. Don't know if we're going to use this again. Possibly put a tank in the boot. What I need to do is go back and look at the photos of the WRC car and see what they used. If they use a tank in the boot, we'll be using a tank in the boot. Basically as simple as that. This is how you build an RA.
This is what?
This is how you build an RA.
Jesus, the wobble in that. Just like your wrist going like that. That popped it down. Right, so after quite a bit of back and forth, we did manage to get the fuel tank out and the diff off. Steve just popped out to do a bit of an errand, so in the meantime I think I'm going to take the fuel lines out, so I'm going to fold them back from where the tank was, back through the car, and then blank them off so it's all safe when we're chopping through things, because the last thing you want when you're cutting through things and the sparks flying everywhere is of course petrol. So yeah, let's get on with that. Great. Just shake a little bit of petrol back out the lines. Yeah, they're still full. That's always fun. couple of little plastic brackets that are breaking as I'm going along, but chances are we're going to replace these anyway, so not too much of a big deal. Also, if you can hear that crunching, that's pretty much all the rust that's fallen off this car. You'll probably see it when we've been undoing the subframe bolts. Every time you move or tap the car, loads of rust comes off. So yeah, we'll be putting that back in a bucket and sending it back to Subaru. Okay, so I managed to pull the fuel lines out from a little hole here. Bit back and forth, and a couple of things didn't really want to cooperate, so things like this hard line here, obviously that's not going to want to bend as much. So it's a little bit like playing Operation, but you know, that's them all out on this side, so I'm going to fold them back up to the front of the car with the clips, unclip them, and then hopefully take all the lines out completely. Right, so that is the lines gone from there. Chopped them about here, and then chopped them here. So I'm going to bung both ends up, this side as well. That way there's no more fuel, and the lines are pretty much clear. So we should be good to start cutting, considering all that's done now. So yeah, tidy up these pipes, and then good to go. Right, thought I'd have a little bit of a sweep up. Does anyone want what's left of our Subaru? One lady owner, no rust, no corrosion whatsoever, and that nice little pile there. Some gearbox fluid, and heaven knows what that is, I can't remember now. Ah, CV grease. So yeah, pretty messy, but we're having fun.
Right, now that the fuel system's out, got all the fuel pipes out, we've blanked off fuel rail at the engine, we're pretty safe to start cutting into it. Before we start chopping any more strength out of it, what we want to do is we want to get some bracing between strut tops in the back, because once we cut these out we're going to start to lose a bit of strength. So that's probably our next step, is to start welding some strength back into it to allow us to then start unpicking the rest of the outer sills. So, got most of the back end roughly cut to where we want it. This is just basically hacking off big lumps so that we can get in with a small grinder and do final cuts. So we're just trying to get down to the basics of what we want. So we've still got all the outer of the inner wing to come off, and then we'll make up a nice one to go in there. Strut tops, I'll probably end up at some point, once it's back in the Escort and the floor's tied in, we'll make a new boot floor for it with a sunken fuel tank. And then what we'll do then is I'll probably take off the whole of the inner wings, and I'll physically put in some new strut tops that resemble more like what was in the Escort. So flat floor in the back, so that'll come all the way off, and then I can see inside the chassis legs then and see what they look like, clean all that up, and then a new boot floor to go in.
Smashing. So, bit of a productive day today. Like Steve said, we've accomplished quite a lot in a day. There's plenty more to do, so we'll probably carry on with that tomorrow. If you want to see more of this build, as always, drop that subscribe. And leave a comment below, let us know what you think of the build so far. Yes, we'll see you in the next one.